that she felt so dear. She felt so dear about the topic. Since it's just recording, I'll say it again. She felt so impressed that we needed to do something about empathy and teaching with heart in the age of AI, and then also providing some practical strategies for creating a safe space for AI exploration. So
Thank you
that is
again
our
for,
title.
yeah, thank you again for agreeing to do this with me. I just feel like we're
Yes.
all learning a lot and there's a lot of fear and a lot of panic and a lot of misinformation. And if we really just tap into the fact that we are educators and we got into it for a reason, and if we can connect to the student, and I know everybody does that already. I'm not saying no people we don't do that. We do that. We all do a great job at that. But especially under AI, there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of uneasiness, a lot of fear, and so if we can just really remember what we're here for, this just happens to be a new tool. So if we can do it in the right way and try to understand what it is on the other side of that coin. I mean,
Mhm.
as far as I remember, there wasn't any AI. I mean, I went through graduate school without a cell phone and computer. So
Yes.
yeah, a million years ago, right? And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't imagine the anxiety that I'd be feeling right now. So if we can remember that as we move forward, I think that's going to help a lot as things, progress and maybe get a little loose and we get a little scary or maybe not or whatever. Just let's remember what we're here for. And it's teaching and the students. So
Yeah.
thank you for letting
It's
me
a
get my
it's
two
new to
cents
all
in.
of us too. It's new to all of
Yes.
us. So
Beautiful.
our next slide has our session objectives on it.
Okay.
To explore the role of AI in learning very minimally. We'll do that. Then learning about strategies for setting guidelines for respectful use of AI. We have some examples for you. And then we also, here we have an activity and assignment to put into use this semester. And then we are also, for those who want to participate, we have an activity where we will work together to develop a policy and some guidelines just as an activity. So our first question for you today is, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of artificial intelligence? Now, I'm hoping this Padlet will work with us and we can see the answers
I
here.
checked
But
it.
if
It should be working. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
if not, you can also just put it in chat. If you don't want to go to the
Okay,
actual
let me see.
Padlet, you can put it in chat as well.
Okay,
So
let me
we're
see.
just curious, or and you can also unmic. There's a small enough group that if you want to unmic and share what what is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of artificial intelligence, that would be awesome.
I put it on I put it on my cell. I scan with my cell and I'm answering it myself. So I think that's kind
Okay.
of cool that we can multitask. Let's give everybody a minute or two.
I like
Mm-hmm.
to talk.
Say it again.
I like to talk. I'm a talker.
Please talk. Please, please, please.
Tell us, Sandra, tell us.
Yes. So artificial intelligence to me, well, yeah, I mean, when I went to school, nothing like that was available to us. But to me, it's a bridge to the future and to be able to be more knowledgeable in other resources that are out there.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, thank you. And
Okay.
in the chat, we're seeing a lot of chat. GPT is being listed. Photo
Yes.
generator, Google,
Hmm.
Siri,
Hmm.
Apple AI. It's new technology. And yes, it is, as Marianne just even mentioned that, it's new technology and something we're all needing to get familiar with. Jeffrey put in there that plagiarism, and along with that, Carlton has cheating is another word that comes to mind.
Hmm.
Sarah has a good one there. She thinks of Siri and Chat GPT, but she also thinks of some funny assignments that she's received that are clearly written by AI. I think we're all experiencing that with you, Sarah, as well. Alejandra, that's good. Like many advanced technologies throughout history, it can be put to good use, but also abused. You're right. There's pros and cons. Robotics.
Do we all remember when the internet was invented or when email was
Yeah.
invented and we were all up in arms about how that's just going to ruin everything and no one's going to learn anything? Again, just
Yes.
like Sandra said, it's just another piece of technology. And I really do believe that if we're educating, and again, Trudy and I, we educate educators. If we're educating educators, how do we not model the new and the most advanced cutting edge and pieces like that? So again, it's another tool, but again, there's a lot to be considered, a lot to be considered.
Mhm. Yes. And Stephen Reed says he's not sure what to make of AI, and the history department has banned using AI in writing their papers.
Mm-hmm.
And then Brenda has that it's learning something new, challenges and opportunities. And yeah, I think we're probably all on a variety of spectrums. I taught an AI workshop last year at the California Association for the Education of Young Children. Put that on a t-shirt, right? And when I first started the workshop, there was probably, and there were over, there's at least 50 to 60 people in there, but about 90% were totally against AI and very fearful it would take their jobs, fearful that they would no longer be needed. I don't think AI will ever teach preschool. So I think those in
Right.
early childhood.
Yeah, and I see here that Shireen put, I think it's a future we have to learn how to use it. I
Yes.
agreed. I think that there's a point in all of our let's just say our chronology where we might not want to embrace the next piece, but as current educators, yes, we kind of do have to learn how to use it. The good with the bad, and sometimes it's a all or nothing situation at the beginning until we figure it out, and then we can use it more mindfully, and that's hopefully what we can address today.
Exactly. And that's exactly why we're doing this because we all, I think, are a little apprehensive about this new technology. And while some of us are using it maybe more than a little than others, maybe not, and I'm using it less than some others, there's still that apprehension of how to use it, how to cite it. There's several workshops going on this week that will help you using activities and learning how.
Excellent. So
Okay.
as we move on, the quick definition.
So Britannica tells us that it is the ability of a digital computer or computer-controlled robot to perform tasks commonly associated with intelligent beings. Basically, what it is our artificial intelligence is the science of making machines that can think like humans. But one of the things I want us to really remember is that word human. It is still human motivated and it's still human right that humans are still the individuals putting the information in at this time. And so where there's a fear that it's going to take over, maybe we'll come back in 5 years and find that it is totally different, or maybe even in a couple of years. But right now, it is still controlled by humans. And we have the ability to help our students keep that human element in it. And that's what we're hoping to bring across today.
Agreed. I think there's a mindset there too. If you think that computers are doing things for you versus you being able to control a computer, that might be something that we could build some skills around, right?
Mhm.
And again, maybe
Yes.
not forever, but for right now, we still master the tools that we use. And again, I just remind people the computer does what you want it to do. You just have to
Hmm.
learn how to talk to it. And maybe, again, maybe it won't be the case forever, but you are the master of this box. It does what you want it to do. If it's not doing what you want it to do, let's learn some skills around that. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you,
Cool.
Marianne.
Yes.
So
So
our essential question for today is, how can educators implement practical strategies to create a supportive and inclusive learning environment that allows students to explore AI safely, ethically, and creatively? So that's our main question for today of how can we use it in a safe, ethical, creative way while letting students attempt and try it just as we are. So that's our essential question.
yes.
So we know that AI has both capabilities and limitations. Here's just a few we could look at. In the capabilities, it does have the potential of doing personalized learning. There are some AI activities out there that can actually, or data that can actually analyze student performance and adapt the content, pacing, and difficulty to meet individual needs, often tailoring learning experiences. So it has the ability to modify it even in the middle of an activity. If it sees a student is having difficulty reading at a certain level, it can modify that level of reading at that time. And so there's a lot of early childhood and a lot of elementary school teachers utilizing some of these elements to help them because it does have that ability. And then if the student is, if it's too easy, it can also adjust to give it more of a challenge. So that's a capability. That's something that we can't often do when you have a class of, I know we're high school here, but I'm sorry, we're college here. I was just in a meeting where we were talking about our high school career fair. Sorry about that. We are college here, but even in our college classes where there are so many, we can't always focus on everyone individually. And if you have some students that need some extra help or just need some assistance, that's an area where AI could come in to help. It also can assist with grading. There's an ability to have it assist you. This is all for me because I'm not big. I don't love grading. I love teaching.
That's
I love
right.
teaching. And I love in-person's my favorite. This I like as well, but grading no bueno. So
It's a
I'm
lot.
excited about the assistance in grading assignments and saving time for and it will provide. This is one that concerns me a little bit is the providing instant feedback to students. We already have, part of that is Starfish can do that as well. And even those here who've used Starfish, I'm sure many of you already have. We've worked with the coordinators of Starfish to modify it a little bit more so it sounds more like me. I know the first time I used it and it came out, and I thought, oh, I would never say that to a student. I mean, it was not my voice,
Right.
but they've been working on that to where now when they send out an automatic reply to a student, it sounds more like me and it sounds more like you when you're doing it because again, you can actually modify it and you can train it to sound like you. You can even train AI, Chat GPT to sound like you or sound like a high schooler.
Just real
Another,
quick, just real quick,
yes.
for those of you who are not familiar with Starfish, CC does not have it. So Santa Ana College has it. What I understand is that you guys are testing it out for the district. And so so in short, it's a communication system about their performance, right? So like an early notification
Yes.
system. We used to have something similar, but then that kind of went away and now you guys are beta testing that for us. So it sounds really cool. So
Marianne, thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry,
yeah,
I did not
no,
know
no
that.
worries. No worries. No worries.
Okay. All
But I
right.
mean,
Thank you for sharing that.
you guys keep hacking at it. So when it's perfected, then we'll take it.
Right. When we get that AI so perfected on it, we'll send it over to you. But thank you for bringing that up for me.
No
I
problem.
apologize. I didn't know
No
that.
worries. No worries. It gets us excited about new stuff.
Yeah, right. Yes, because it actually is a really good tool. But as I said, in its beginning stages, like anything, it was I as a professor did not enjoy it. So now I am.
But I mean
We can also,
but again, I just want to give you the compliment that even though you are techie, you come at technology with a grain of salt, meaning like, is this going to be useful for me? Is this going to help me in the things that I am not so great at? These are some of the questions that we ask as
Mhm.
we ask you as professionals is like, maybe AI is not for me, but maybe it could help me in some of these areas, right? There's not one
Yes.
thing on the planet that does everything perfectly right. And so maybe picking and choosing these different options would help you get more comfortable as well. And then you're able to then help your students get more comfortable. And so you're learning and growing together. But again, Trudy, I thank you for taking that leadership on that you're open to technology, but sometimes you're like, no, that's not going to work for me. So let's try this instead, or let's do this instead, because that's not who I am, and that's not who I am as an instructor. So thank you for leading by
Or if it
example.
doesn't benefit the student, I always think,
Right,
and I'm sure we all do this as well, bottom line is it going to benefit my students is
right.
where I have to go to. So if I find something that I'm not comfortable with,
Thank you,
but
ma'am.
it's something that's going to help
Thank
my
you, ma'am.
student, then
Yes,
I
ma'am.
am going to press forward and
Yeah,
continue learning
thank you.
about it because ultimately my job is about meeting the needs of the students. So thank you for that. And then along with the automated grading would be some administrative support as well. It can schedule it can do scheduling, it can do student record management, attendance tracking, which gives you the opportunity to focus more on your teaching time. One of the other capabilities, of course, along with the ones we've just mentioned, would be data-driven insights, where it can analyze student behavior and engagement patterns, which give you insight into helping to improve either your course, your instructional strategies, or also to meet the needs of certain students in a specific way. And then it can also have, there are AI tutors and chatbots, and some of those are probably already in process with our
Where
students.
we are, some of us are beta testing the Nectar AI pilot this semester. So that's really exciting to have a chat box in your course. And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to do something like this, because again, I want to learn about AI. I want to see how it can help. And this, again, we'll talk more about it as AI rolls out and the task force has more policies that come through. But if anybody's doing that Nectar beta testing, it sounds really exciting. It's actually having a little chat box for your course. And so anything information that you give that chat box that can help them find the information in your course, but you can also set parameters on doesn't give them the answer. You can have it ask prompting or open-ended questions and have them search for the meaning or the learning behind some in finding some of those answers, but all the way to, the information on your syllabus that they can help you or help the student find. So I'm really excited about that, but it's new for me. So I'm really trying to embrace all the different parts of this, kind of like Sandra said, or Shireen said. It's like, yeah, there's pieces here that we can learn. So a lot of cool things happening out there.
Will that be in one of your classes this semester?
Yeah, what they asked for was if you have two classes that are very similar, or I actually have a in-person hybrid Tuesday, Wednesday, two separate classes. So our intro class, I have one on Tuesday and one on Wednesday. And so I'm going to launch it in one class. So there's a control group. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. But also to make sure that I have it settled, I'm actually doing it in another class for intro to special education. And that's an online class. And so I'm having a control class and doing the second class with the AI chatbots so that I can see if there's the variable difference between the AI chatbots in the online class versus the in-person hybrid. See if there's any data changes.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah,
Woo!
it's good. I mean, it's not, it's doable. It's doable. It's doable. I just want to
Okay,
make
well,
sure I
I
didn't
can't
bite
wait
off.
to hear your
Yeah.
results on that. That'll be good.
Yeah.
So as we're looking at capabilities, we also recognize there are limitations. And I think one of the biggest ones is this first one. And again, is why we're doing this workshop today, the lack of human judgment. We could even say the lack of human touch, because AI does lack those nuanced understandings of the context or emotions that human educators bring to interaction with students. And this is big. This is big for our students. Whether you're teaching in person or whether you're teaching Zoom or online, students need a human touch and they need human interaction. So again, as I just said, even if you're teaching a fully online class, you've got to find those places where you're reaching out to students. And even I teach several fully online classes. One of them is a child development education studies. And each week they have a quiz. And when the quiz is done, so let's say even AI graded the quiz, I then follow it up with an email that says, you're a rock star. So anyone that received over maybe 90% on that test, I just say, you're a rock star. You scored this on this test, and send it out to everyone that scored that. I have received back so many emails from students saying, I've never had anybody reach out and tell me I'm a rock star on a quiz. Now, I'm sure someone has, but they're always amazed. Thank you for, noticing. Thank you for, so yes, I see Cheryl Donchi has put that in there. Human component is critical. So again, Marianne and I both want to stress AI is not taking your job. It is not taking the place of you. Our students need us. They need you. They need that personal touch. The data, we're finding that there is bias in the algorithms because, again, it's put in there by humans. And humans have bias, whether they think they have it or not. There is bias. So just recognize that when you get the data back, we talked about a capability being the data, but when you receive the data back, recognize there might be some bias in there. That's where you come in as the expert. You're the expert that needs to look at it and see what is it being measured against. And I'm going to jump down to the data dependency since we're talking about data there. You don't want to become too dependent on the data that's being given. You always want you want your critical thinking, your knowledge about who your students are. You're the expert. I want to keep reminding you, You are the expert. AI, yesterday in the meeting we were in for AI yesterday, someone mentioned AI is so good as a mentor, as a tutor, as an assistant, but it's not taking the place of you. It's so important that you are there. And then there are technical barriers. AI does require resources. In fact, we were just in a faculty meeting right now, and miracle of miracles, we have some monies that we can use for something, and we said, oh, maybe we would use it for something like Magic School AI, which would be a subscription that we could use as faculty. That one wouldn't be for students, but us as faculty. Why? Because we do need those resources. It requires an infrastructure. It requires expertise, which, again, thank you all for being here for this workshop, for the ones that are going forward. Just you're like Marianne and I, where we love to learn and we love to continue to, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you're here for the flex hours. Whether you're here for flex or learning, we're
Both of
just
those things
glad,
can be true at the same time.
right? But yes, we're
Both can be
glad
true.
that you are here. So some institutions could be challenged by not getting the technology that they need to be able to do it. I'm excited that Santa Ana College and Santiago Community College are partnering together. The AI task force is working very hard. The last time we met was November, so we will pick it up again. And we mentioned yesterday, and we'll mention again today, anybody who's interested in being on the AI task force, we want you. So you can
Yes.
put your name in the chat and which school you're at so we can find you easy, or put your email in there. And we will connect you with the task force coordinators, and you can join us because we're busy right now working on policies, regulations, the ethical. Oh, Aaron Fletcher right there is already interested.
Yep.
Thank you, Aaron. You are on it now. You're on the task force. Our newest member, Aaron Fletcher. We would love Michelle. Good. Yay. This is
Yay.
exciting. Woo, woo, woo. We're
And
excited to
we
have
all
you.
bring so many different perspectives and passions with us. So that's why a task force needs more input than less.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I love again that both schools are coming together to do it. That's awesome. And I see some more names coming in. Yeah, definitely Philip, and there was Sandra. Oh my goodness. This is worth this whole workshop right here. Thank you for
Awesome.
all of you.
Awesome.
And then the last one here is just ethical concerns. Of course, we're always talking about what are the ethical elements.
So my question was, what if there was a way to combine both the benefits, keep the limitations in mind, but also make sure that we have that human piece always in there. And so I wanted to drop that in there. So
I love that.
yeah, we both talked about creating a safe space for AI exploration. Again, there's a lot of anxiety around it. And so, and I know some of us are open to it, some of us are not. But again, in exploration doesn't mean you have to commit. It just means that you're checking things out, you're going for a walk, you're reading this article or learning about that. But if we come off as fearful and paranoid and angry and all those things, our students are going to hear that too, and they're not going to feel safe when they're exploring. And trust me, they're all exploring. They're all exploring. So again, I'll I can do this. I can finish this one up, Trudy. You good?
Yes,
Okay,
go
okay,
for
okay,
it.
okay.
Yes, please.
And so we talked about maybe doing a reflection assessment. It may be a pre-test, post-test. Don't call it a test, because then they might get really nervous about that. But maybe just say an inventory. How are you? What is your experience with AI? How do you feel? How do you use it? And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the more specific prompts. But again, encouraging students to know that it's not the enemy and it's not the worst thing on the planet. And right. So allowing that exploration, let them know that you're open to it. Right. I always remembered when I was in school when a teacher said, I love learning with you guys. And I was like, what are you talking about? Heard that more at the community college than I did at the 4-year, but okay. Right. And so I really appreciate the humility when somebody says, hey, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But I really don't know a lot about it. I might know maybe a couple steps ahead of you, but let's learn together. And I love when the students teach me stuff. I love because I don't have the eyeballs to see everything that's out there. Right. So when they come back and they share with me, hey, check this out, or, oh, I found this new app, or oh, hey, did you know chat does this? I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Let's figure that out together. So again, giving them the opportunity and letting them know that you're open to it is huge. Encourage students to experiment with those AI tools. Every once in a while, I'll experiment with something and then I'll ask them. I say, wait, hey, have you guys heard of Monica.com? That Monica, she does a lot of stuff. She makes chat look kind of lazy, by the way. Uh, she can like summarize anything in like 3 sentences. I'm like, no, Monica, I don't like that about you. So but at the same time, now I'm more familiar with it, so I can see it coming. Or when the format looks very familiar, I'm like, yeah, the way you summarize that TED Talk was very Monica-esque. Can I see that rewritten in your own words this time? So I'm confident that way. And I normally don't get a lot of blowback when I say, hey, that didn't sound like your middle paragraph didn't sound like your first or last paragraph. So can you rewrite that second paragraph for me? Or we can just have a Zoom conversation and we could talk about your thoughts on that topic. They're like, oh no, I'll rewrite that. Thanks. So the benefit of the doubt and allowing them to experiment, but also saying, hey, I'm aware, and always make sure that you have a policy in your syllabus. Make sure you're very clear with it,
Yes.
but not punitive and not negative. My son just started a class at a South County community college and in culinary, and he was like, oh man, that syllabus, that she seems mean and she seems, I was like, oh no, I read through it, it just everything was worded and like, don't do this and don't do that and don't do this, and I was like, how about this instead? Keep it in open in the positive, allowing them to say, if you're going to do this, like if you're going to be late to class, contact me. If you're going to miss a week, whatever, instead of saying don't be late to class, you're going to miss points, and don't be late, like, so it's all mindset, even as instructors. So also the institution and faculty, when we set guidelines, yes, we, again, like TJ mentioned, we have policies that are coming out. Departments have made their own policies. Just again, make sure that it's respectful. These are students who are just trying to be students, right? And also see if you can promote metacognitive strategies, getting them to think about their thinking, getting them to talk about their talking, getting them to even tap into what kind of student they are or what student they want to be. And so I'm going to call on Sandra. She raised her hand. Thank you for
Yeah,
doing that.
let's see what Sandra has to say, Marianne.
Yeah, well, I think that as instructors, we forget that we have diversity in our classrooms.
Thank you.
And then when you come so strong in a syllabus like that, it's scary to
It
ask
is
you
scary.
questions in office hours. I teach anatomy and physiology, and these are very hard topics.
Yes.
And they are a rigorous type of
Yes.
environment for them to learn. So if I don't show compassion, we have to show compassion. We forget that there are humans as well.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And and
Yeah.
again, we have a lot of first gen students. We have a lot of neurodiverse students. We have students who are facing trauma, food insecurity, housing insecurity, other types of insecurities right now. And so there's a lot of things to consider. So if we come off super harsh and we come off super punitive, is that who we are as professionals? Is that why we're here? Is this what this environment is known for? So I tell people, do you match your environment, and do you match your own way that you would want to be taught yourself? Do you want to be in a class where the professor is telling you no most of the time?
Yeah,
Or do you
and we
go ahead?
forget that well, that's how I was taught. These the instructors were mean. I mean, I'm brown, I'm Hispanic, I have an accent, and they were mean to me. And to and women are even worse, meaner to other women than the male. What is going on? We need to all support each other.
I agree. I mean, I think there's always and it's always easier to add in support than to justify why you took it away.
Yes.
I mean,
And
again,
Marianne,
go ahead.
Philip has put into chat that he asked AI to write an AI policy for his community college syllabus,
Oh,
and it was
yay.
actually pretty good. I
Yeah.
love that, Philip, that you actually used it. and that you use the words community college because it probably
Yes.
wrote it differently than if you had put like a four-year university or, and
Yes.
again, that's Philip brings a really good point here that you can ask AI to voice it in a certain way. And so even as, and Sandra, thank you so much for sharing that, to voice it in a more positive way or to voice it in a way that would be an encouragement or support to a community college student. I love that it can
Yeah.
actually modify that.
I agree. I think, Philip, that's a great idea because I've done that too. So, hey, I have a community college where it's like a night class and these are working professionals.
Hmm.
And I mean, and I want to I want to do this type of activity, but I don't want to overload them. Like, I will really get the context flowing.
Yes.
And then you can adjust it as you go. Also, I have to tell you, one time I got really cheesed about some cheating, some blatant cheating. And I was firing off this announcement, and it was a little more edgy than I would normally like to do. So I backed it, I took it and put it into chat and say, how do I make this more collegial, more positive, and more respectful? I mean, because I couldn't, I just wasn't in that space.
Yeah.
It was just like late at night, and it was end of the hard week, and I was like, eh. And so yeah, it kind of backed it off. I even asked it to be more casual, and it was like, yo, dude, it's like not that casual.
No, not that casual.
Not that casual. So I mean, I'm telling you, sometimes when my brain is at like this terminus of like where I'm in a space where I don't really want to be, and I'm making an announcement, I take a minute, I take a beat because sometimes I just need somebody else who has no skin in the game, which AI doesn't have any skin in the game, literally and figuratively, it has no skin in the game, but it will try to help me be the best version of me. So I'm pretty pleased about it.
And I love that Shireen put that in there too. She said, I've been using it to soften my responses too. That's awesome.
Same, because you kind of
Love
have
it.
to, because I'm telling you, I have a teenager, and
Yeah.
sometimes I'm just like, I'm a little wound tightly, and I'm like, that's not the teacher I want to be. That's not how I want my students, and no one's gonna learn if I'm coming at their throats, right? So,
Yes. This quote here actually comes from a resource that we were given, Senate Rostrum, and there's some great articles in here. I don't know if both colleges received it, but we were given it in our mailboxes, and I'm so glad I took it home over Christmas break because it had marvelous things in there. But I want to say with this quote here that many students fear that mentioning if they even use AI leads them to being accused of academic dishonesty. I heard that also from one of my students, well, not one of my students in my class, but a student I was speaking with last week that said that they are afraid to even say chat or AI or any of that for fear of being thought of that they were cheating. So again, we want to make sure we're not coming. I like what Professor Laney was saying. Let's not come at it from a punitive. And I know some of you are thinking, well, there has to be some punishment for violating.
agreed, agreed.
Make sure everything's in your syllabus. That's going to be your strongest point is put everything in the syllabus. Again, the schools are working on policies that will actually go out at some point, but you have control of your class. But
Mhm.
if you can write it, I also like that Professor Laney was saying, write it in a way where it's not always you can't. We don't like that either. We don't like you can't, don't. We try to skirt around it. But this is something I even just heard a student say even last week. So it's happening.
Agreed. There's a lot to consider. So maybe again, take that beat, take a breath, take a step back, and say, is this that big of the problem, or can we utilize this in a better or more meaningful way?
Hmm.
So again, Trudy put Professor Dr. Naaman put
But no,
together.
TJ is fine. Actually, I
I
like
know.
TJ is really good. I'm so excited about this
Yeah,
slide here
because it
because
is so
this
good.
is for you. This is an example for you to actually take. It's a discussion forum prompt that you could use when we were talking that one slide before of metacognition, of having a student really reflect on why they're using it, how they're using it. This is a forum prompt you could use in any class because it's not content specific, but it's rather if you want to have the safe exploration we're talking about, you could use this and have students think about as they continue to integrate AI tools into their learning process that they would reflect on it and they would answer these questions. How has AI influenced your understanding of course material? Has AI made certain aspects of learning easier or more difficult for you? And in what ways? Can you think of any challenges or limitations that AI has introduced into your learning experience? How do you balance the use of AI with traditional learning methods? And then feel free to share any personal examples and insights on both positive and negative effects of AI on your education. So again, this is one of the examples we have for you that you can access, that you can use, you can modify it, whatever you want, but I'm going to be using it this semester. I'm going to add it into my courses.
And thank you for when we were developing this. Thank you for sharing this because her and I both ended teaching winter session Sunday night. So, sorry, excuse me, spring intersession. And you're the
Yes.
trooper that you had 2 classes, and I think this is a constant. Like I feel like I'm the person who's like juggling a chainsaw and a feather and a bowling ball. Like there's this thing where some people don't want to use it. Some people use it very mindfully. Some people you overuse it, right? So you're constantly trying to figure out how students see it, so I have an assignment where I call it a content connection, and it's kind of like taking notes, but I differentiate it like under UDL, like they can do it in any way that's mindful to them. So I have people who do audio recordings, I have video recordings, I have people who take Cornell notes, I have people who do like one student finally told me, I kept grading him down. I said, buddy, this is almost like word for word. I feel like you pretty much took the OER book and just threw it in there. And he said, no, I audio type. I put on Google type audio recording and I read the whole chapter. And so that made sense because there were some typos. And I was like, if he's really, so I was trying to figure it out. And so we came to an agreement that I mean, that's not cheating. For him, he's an audio learner. And so it took me a while to be like, ooh, first I was like heated about it. And then I was like, bro, how do I explain to you this is cheating? And he was like, but it's not, because I mean, so we ended up coming to an agreement that he was doing some other things there too, to make sure that I knew that he was learning, and I have formative assessments and things like that every week. But it was the first time I had somebody say, like, I basically read the entire book to myself. And if I don't, I'm not going to get it. And I was like, okay. I mean, that's the same thing as differentiating learning. That's the same thing as, again, I teach like the neurodiversity learners and things like that. And so I have different ways. He has different ways. Again, what's the difference between that and a guy videotaping himself reading through the chapter? It's his way, and that's how he learns. Really, our goal is not more than, did you learn it? If you're cheating, you're not learning. If you're cutting pasting, you're not learning. But if you were able to do it in a way that may look like cheating to me, but that's your learning, I had to be really careful about it. And another student who said, I'm a non-native English speaker. And so I write it down and I put it through a translator, and I said, yo puedo leer español también. So I was able to, I said, hey, why don't you do this part in English, these 2 parts in English, write that part in this part, that's a formative part in Spanish, and I can read that. So we were able to have this conversation that she's like, thank you, because I took out an entire step out of that assignment for me. And I was like, of course. So, I mean, there's just having that conversation and trying to understand their use of it really brings you both together, instead of saying, you're cheating, you're done. So that's my big encouragement for everybody. Just have that conversation. You don't know until you have that conversation. Yeah. Cool. Okay, excellent. I was trying to make these slides kind of fun too, but and this part, I wanted to really, again, kind of riff more on what I was talking about here, is like, if you're having trouble understanding a student, and I feel like in every class, I always have one that's just sits on that one nerve. I got that one nerve right here, just sits there. I had a student who I said, I published an assignment and said, hey, I have all these different sections where I said, our objectives, our meaning, like this. And then I put a video in there, and her answer was, well, I didn't see your video. I said, okay, well, look through the tabs. And she was like, oh, okay. I said, and my response to her was like, please remember that I am on your side. I'm not here to trip you up. I'm not here to tell you that you're doing things wrong. I'm here to provide everything I can for you to be successful. And she said, you're right. I just didn't see it. I'm sorry. This is like my favorite class. I just have 6 kids at home, and I'm taking 2 intercession classes. And I'm like, ugh, of course she's overwhelmed and she's snippy. If I didn't have that little bit of that conversation, I wouldn't know she's level, sick, her kids are sick. And it's like, and again, a lot of times as professors, we're like, it doesn't matter, you need to get the work done. Yeah, she got the work done. She just had a little blip in the road. She had a bad day. I get it. So if you don't have that conversation, just keep in mind that they come to your class before they came to your class. They have this entire life, right? They may be first gen, they may be new to the country, they may be opposite. They may be a retiree who's a polyglot who's just taking your class just for funsies, right? So things like that. They have a history, they have a life, they have skills, or they don't. And they're learning just like you're learning, as we're all learning together, because once we stop learning, we're what? So just also remember, young adults, developmentally, young adults are trying to figure out who they are. They're coming off of a high school that's coming off of COVID. And I mean, there's so much turmoil going on right now. I mean, could you really say that you'd love to go back to your 20s and say, I now have a cell phone and social media and this and that and the other thing? I honestly don't know if I would have made it through my 20s if I had an Uber account, a debit card, and a cell phone. I was already making funky choices. But that process of when a student has to figure out who they are, what they stand for, what their integrity is, what it isn't, what they're willing to do, what they're not willing to do, that's a very formative time. And not all our students are in their 20s, but most are, right? But how to navigate the adult world is hard. So having those conversations with them of, no, that's not okay, and this is okay, is something that we need to model as adults in their world that they are navigating through. So again, where TJ said those opportunities for sharing metacognition, I have so many students who do not know enough to say, I like to study at between 10 a.m. and 12 a.m. 12 p.m. in the morning. That's my sweet spot. There's students, I'm like, how do you study? I don't know. Like, pretend you're describing your study habits to me. I guess I read the stuff. Well, do you read it all in a chunk? Do you read it in an hour? Do you read it in 30 minutes, take 5? Do you read it? Oh no, me and my friends, we go get boba and we like study. I'm like, cool, you made friends in the class. Oh no, we're all studying something different. Okay, cool. So how long do you study like that? Oh, like 2 hours, 3 hours. Cool. How many chapters do you read? Like one. Okay. So they're peppering, they're learning through chitting and chatting, and they're each learning something. They're in a social environment. That's what they need. They're also learning that reflexive developmental piece. So yeah, in that conversation, their friend's going to say like, dude, check out this AI app that I got. Your teacher's never going to know. Of course they're learning. Like, how do you think they learn stuff? The back of the bus. This is the same thing. It's just a little bit more adult, right? So I encourage students in formative ways to say, this is how I like to study. I even say in a Monday announcement, hey guys, this is what we're doing this week. Just to share and build community. What's your favorite song right now? Or what do you study? What do you listen to music when you study? Some people say never noise when I study. Some people say all the noise when I study. And I've learned new artists. I've learned brown noise. I've learned lo-fi. I've learned all kinds of cool stuff that actually works for me. So if they share that in like a response and an announcement, optional. And some are really outgoing to do it, and some aren't. And some share, sometimes some don't. So identifying their own strengths and limitations. Like how many students have told you that I have this huge project and I am so good at doing it at the 11th hour. I'm so good at procrastinating. And then I just pull it out and I just get an A. And I was like, well, that's not going to work for you forever. So let's talk about maybe planning it out like this. Or I noticed that you left that last exam to the 11th hour. Did you do this well as you thought? No. Okay. So let's do this in 3 steps, not just one at the end. So getting them to identify, maybe I'm not so good at this. Maybe I am good at that. Maybe I'm not. So once they learn who they are, then you're going to kind of see how the AI works in as an assistant, like we talked about before, a tutor, even goal setting. You could say, hey, I have this project due in 3 weeks. Chat, how would you suggest I tackle it? It could even be personal goals of like, I want to lose 20 pounds by spring break. It will tell you, blah, 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 blah. So again, getting them to know themselves helps navigate them as students, as learners in your class. Again, college is not just about topics. It's about being a college student, learning how to be an appropriate member of our society. So there's a lot of different ways that we can utilize AI and at the same time them learning themselves. So again, I
Marianne,
always
Sarah
go
just
ahead.
put in the chat. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
No,
this is
please.
so good. It goes right along with what you're saying. Sarah said, I've asked students to use Chat GPT to write them a study plan for the semester
Yep.
and then edit it to their learning style. It
Yep.
lets them know I'm hip to AI,
Yep.
but also gets them started with a plan in the beginning of the semester. I love that.
That's
Sarah,
why
that's
Sarah is
awesome.
that's why Sarah's so
Nice.
amazing. Sarah is
Very cool.
our child development faculty coordinator for apprenticeship. So
Yes.
super rad, super awesome. But yeah, absolutely. Because here's the thing, like TJ said at the beginning, we can't possibly get to know them all so deep.
Mhm.
But at the same time, the goal there for them to know themselves. What? Yes. So again, learning preferences, personal inventories, mission statements. I have students write a mission statement. They're like, what? I'm like, why are you here? Well, I don't know. It's like, okay, but what do you want? I don't know. Let's start to figure that out. You don't have to know it all
Yep.
today. Right. But let's figure it out. But let's do it through AI. If you are not happy with them doing it for content or anywhere close to content in your class, I would do it for personal stuff, because that tells them as a human being is important enough for you to care about, to say like, I want to know what kind of learner you are in this class. I challenge everybody to figure out what type of learners are your students, because that tells them you care. And again, all learning happens under the guise of a relationship. If they don't think you care, and yes, they don't live for us like high school or middle school or even elementary school. It's not that we're not that big of an influence on them, right? But at the same time, we are the adults that they're trying to be,
Mhm.
right? So what kind of adult are you trying to model? And let them know, like, again, like TJ said, like, just tell them an atta girl, atta boy. Like, I tell them bravo, brava. Like, or you blew
Mhm.
me away. That's fantastic. I started making my own badges. I throw in Sarah can tell you, I throw in Bitmojis like I'm getting paid to do that. So it's like, you might as well just be encouraging and silly at the same time while they're learning your course content. It, because they are a human learner. They're not just a robot themselves, right? So I like this part where TJ added this modeling curiosity. It's so great. But again, so I wanted to go into this a little bit more. And so I sort of touched on it before, but again, make sure that your AI policy is in there. I'm still learning every
Mhm.
semester and polishing that up. I tell them this is what it looks like. I give them a top 10 reasons. This is how I know you're using AI. I tell them like the format's the same. There's words that aren't even in our book. You left the asterisks in. Like it doesn't sound like you. I mean, I literally give them the keys to the kingdom. They still try it, right?
Mhm.
But I'm doing what I can to cover the base, right? And then I share them the back office hacks. I tell them like, listen, when we put it through the AI tool and it comes red, I look at this is what it looks like for me. Are you telling me that you're telling me you didn't cheat, but it says that you're red? So I show them what I see and I just go to help me understand, right? Don't assume that they used it.
Right. Yeah.
I have met, in fact, I had a high school student taking my class in spring intersession who just killed it. Well, yeah, this kid who wants to be a doctor. Clearly, I think he got one of the highest grades in the class. Not that that really demonstrates your learning, but man, he was articulate, he was in depth, he was exploratory and curious and this. And I was like, oh my gosh, fantastic. So if I really didn't understand him or get to try to know him at the beginning, I would have been like, this kid's cheating. How could he be 16 and writing like this? Because his culture supports that and expects him to be a doctor. So he's been on this, I'm going to be a doctor since he was like 4. So yeah, he writes like that. Like also give them an opportunity to rewrite it.
Mhm.
Or I tell them, let's just chat about it. If you understand the concept, the topic as well as you wrote, then you're good. You don't have to rewrite it. Your choice. I give them a choice. And then that's a way to connect with them as well. Pair with them. It is scary. AI is scary. This class is scary. We just had a 4-week class. We have our content is 15 chapters in 4 weeks. They're doing 4 chapters a week.
Right.
It's it's insane. I mean, how many times if you're teaching intercession, how many times, CJ, do people say, why are you teaching? That's crazy. I would never teach that. It's hard for us to teach it, and they're the ones learning it. Right. And so there's this whole piece of like, yeah, I understand. You're scared, you're stressed out. I had students say, I mean, chapter 6 and chapter 13 is due right now. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I can't change that, you know? So again, this is my big takeaway here. Instead of saying what's wrong with the student that they had to cheat, ask yourself what else could be going on.
I like that. I like that. A whole different thinking, which goes with this next quote that you have here. I love this quote. Once you see a student differently, you see a different student.
AI doesn't mean that they're cheating. AI can sometimes mean that they're panicked, desperate, scared. What if they are the first generation student and their family's riding on them? What if they fail one more class and they're kicked out of our school or district? What if they have a bunch of parents and family members who are like, who do you think you are going to college? You think you're smarter than us? I know you're just going to fail. We don't know the messages they're getting, but you know what?
Right.
Have a conversation, get to know them. Sometimes you'll hear it. And so if you see them differently, you will see them differently. Assuming that they're out to cut every corner, some people are. I'm not going to lie. There's a bell curve of life, right? Some people are never, ever going to cheat. Some people are going to cheat every single time. Somewhere in the middle is the rest of us. Assume that's where they're at. And that helps. That helps us keep that humanness in there.
And now it's your turn. So we have an activity for you, and you're just going to be in breakout groups for 10 minutes. They do have this workshop set to go to 4. We won't be going completely to 4, but we're going to have you go into, we're going to break it into 4 breakout rooms. I'm going to put a link in chat.
I just broke open 4 breakout rooms.
Okay, don't go there yet. Don't go. Okay. Don't open it yet.
Okay, close it.
Okay, hold on. Let me give them the instructions first.
Sorry.
So what you're going to do is we're going to have you work on this AI exploration agreement you could use in your class. So again, we wanted to have something that you could take away today. So we're going to have 4 different rooms. When you go to the Google Doc, if you're in breakout room 1, you're going to be on slide 1. If you're in breakout room 2, you're going to use slide 2. Breakout room 3, slide 3. And breakout room 4, slide 4. And then you're going to answer the question. So breakout room 1 will be doing the ethical use of AI. You're going to discuss together. The goal is to discuss your topic and come up with one sentence among your group, just one sentence that you would put in this AI exploration agreement with students. So we're considering expectations, ethical considerations, and guidelines for students as they're engaging with AI tools in their coursework. So again, slide 1 would be perhaps what guidelines should be included to ensure students use AI ethically. How can students be encouraged to think critically about AI-generated content, and its impact on their learning and society? If you're in breakout room 2, you're going to discuss transparency and accountability. What rules should govern the disclosure of AI use in assignments and projects? How can students be held accountable for AI-generated work while also encouraging innovation? Or if you're in room 3, you're going to look at supporting student learning. And all of these are on the slides. How can we balance AI as a tool for enhancing learning with the need for students to engage in critical thinking and independent work? Or privacy and data security will be breakout room 4. What should be included in the agreement to address privacy concerns, especially if students use AI tools that collect or analyze personal data? Again, you're only going to be in there for 10 minutes. Discuss and come up with one sentence. And when you come back, we will have you'll have 4 sentences that you could start with for this AI exploration. If for some reason you're not able to get into one of the rooms, someone just said they're having problems with their Zoom room camera, stay with us and we'll discuss one of these. So we'll still be here. Go ahead and open up the rooms then. I think you already did, Marianne.
Yes, ma'am. And
yeah,
so
go ahead and go in your rooms.
Hop in something that's interesting to you, come up with your sentence, and then we're going to come back and discuss. And then we'll all have something to like a jump off point as the semester
And again,
starts.
if you can't get into one of the rooms, stay here and we can we'll discuss one of these prompts as well and come up with a sentence.
I'm going to give it a couple more minutes and then
I have a
I'll
question. So we join
Yes.
any group?
any group that you like the topic that you'd like to discuss and come up
Okay,
with a
got it.
sentence.
Okay, Marianne,
I'm
you
sorry,
just changed
where do
my
we-
instructions.
I
Where do
did.
we go or where do we click to get into the room?
It should be coming up your breakout room. It should be coming right up on your screen. Are you seeing? Do you
Should
see
say-
breakout rooms at the bottom of your Zoom?
Should say join.
Should say join there.
No, I don't see it either.
Oh,
No one is seeing it? Okay,
No.
did you
I-
actually
No.
assign them?
I can assign them. And it sounds like somebody's got some
I
feedback.
usually do just an anonymous assign.
Sure. Let me just do it here.
Do I select my own room?
Hold on. No, you were supposed to go, if you got in room 1, I thought you were going to do 4 rooms, Marianne.
I did. And I named them all with
Oh,
the numbers.
okay.
Yeah. So I'm just
Did you
gonna,
do assign anonymously? Did you
It's
talk
not-
to?
it's not doing that right now. So I'm gonna go ahead
Okay.
and
Try it again. Let's try one more time.
yeah. Okay. Oh, there's somebody here that's in here twice. It's interesting.
Maybe. So I see some people have made it into some rooms.
I'm doing like a random assign,
Oh, okay. All right.
but I'm gonna leave
That's
you out.
interesting. It didn't just anonymously assign them.
No, and I looked under options. I think it may have has different options now.
Okay.
It just says allow participants to choose a room, and I did.
Okay.
And I
Yeah,
did.
I usually just go anonymous
Mm.
and I have it randomly choose them and throw them into rooms. We'll get you
Yeah.
in there.
Transparency. Share. Why is there interesting? Okay. All right. I see the groups now. Steven, what's Steven in? Number 1.
Even Tim and
Yeah.
I don't know if Tim and Timothy are the same one.
I think they might
Okay.
be the same. But
Cool.
all
And I'll
right.
set the timer for 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Some people I think are here, but they're not here.
Okay.
So I sent them over, but they
Ah.
weren't exactly joined.
Okay. Is there anybody still on the list here that you need to be put into a group or?
It's just you and me unassigned.
Okay. So Rosemary, are you here? Abigail?
So I'm
Becky?
s- there we go. It looks like
Oh, okay.
Abigail joined.
Yvette? Does Yvette have a room?
I'm looking.
Yvette, are you there?
See how it's like assigned her, but she didn't join. So I'm
Okay.
not sure if she's
Carlton?
paying it.
Carlton, are you there? And Tim, I think there was 2 of them. There was Tim and Timothy. I wondered if maybe he was on a phone.
They're probably the same. Yeah.
Yes, probably.
Okay.
Okay,
Give me
let me-
one. Give me 1 sec because I have a question.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? I can talk for
You
1
want to
minute.
mute right now? Okay. Yvette, are you there? Carlton, are you there? Hello, Rosemary, are you there? Do you need a room?
Yeah, I was just having some trouble getting in, but let me
You
try
want to just
again.
stay here and chat, or you can stay here and chat with me if you want.
Oh, that's okay.
We can do one of the, do you want me to put you in a room?
Yeah, just tell me which one. I think I have
You're
a
in
choice.
room 1. You're supposed to be in room 1.
Okay, I'll try to get back in there.
Okay, if not, let me
Okay.
know and I'll put you in one.
Okay, thank you.
3
Thank
of us
you.
were in, I think, room 3, but we could hear someone else's discussion, but they couldn't hear us. Somehow it got
Really?
scrambled. Yeah, so we
Oh, that's
decided to leave
interesting.
the room and try to rejoin it. I think it was
Okay.
in, but I don't remember.
You were in room 3.
Okay,
Thank you for letting us know that, Erin.
it was funny.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I'm putting in some of them are having issues with rooms. Like
Yeah.
Aaron was in room 3, but room 3 could hear other rooms.
Something's
Aaron, are you still trying?
I
I
don't
can move you
have,
to a different room.
I don't have a pop-up that says room 3 anymore.
Okay, let me put you in a different room then. Try room 1.
Okay.
TJ, do you want me to put like a 5-minute warning? Because I could do a
Let's see.
broadcast.
We're well, not yet because we still have 8. They still
Okay.
have 8 minutes. So I'll
I'll
tell you
wait.
when
I'll
it
wait.
is 5. I'll tell you when
Perfect.
it's 5.
Perfect.
Yeah. Very good. And I haven't heard Carlton hasn't answered or Yvette, so I don't know if they're there. And can we put pause on the recording for a minute?
Hold on.